In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a framework matrix to display some key text by some of your interviewees. In fact, here I will select several, if not all, of my interview transcripts. And then click on Create and Framework Matrix. I'll call it Interview Transcript Framework Matrix. In the rows, I select my cases. In this case, I'm going to select Barbara, Charles, Dorothy, Henry, Margaret, Susan, Thomas, and William. And in the column, I will select codes. So the codes or the nodes that I'm interested in are the auto-coded themes in this case. And I'm going to select fishing, fishing houses, commercial fishing, and natural environment. Okay, so we now have a basic frame of the framework matrix. If I expand here, we'll see we have the codes above. So you can see the codes or the nodes I selected are above. And then for the row, we have each of the participants. Now I can manually add notes about what they're saying. Over here, I can see what Barbara has said that's relevant. It selected that code for me. And that's a good way to do it. So I'd basically be reading through and then making notes on here on the table. The other way is to use the auto summarize option. So I'm going to do that. So auto summarizing is now happening. And I just have to wait a few seconds. And here it is. So we've got a window up here, 20 summaries have been modified. Okay, so that suggests there might be some of the cells here that were not coded. Now, what I have in this case is the data that is relevant to the code. And again, I would now edit that. I might select some of the quotations, keep the quotations in, but also add my own summary. So we can see here what Barbara has said about commercial fishing, fishing houses, fishing, and natural environment. Now, when we look at natural environment, it's come up in a different text. And actually, what we're picking up here is a heading, and it's connected to a question with Henry. So remember earlier in one of the videos, we were talking about whether or not we would first of all, strip out all the text by the interviewer. Had we done that, we wouldn't be getting Henry's text, but it doesn't matter. In fact, I would say it's a good thing to have Henry's text here. We can see what the questions were, and simply we can then just delete that text because it's not relevant directly to saying what are the points of view, what are the perspectives of the various participants. Okay, so it's easy enough to edit out. We have the questions there, so highlight, delete, and of course you can add in whatever you like, and work from there. So this is really, really useful because it would take a long time to go through and do this manually. Sometimes we find that we have the same quotation, it appears twice. So there's always some editing work to do. And the table is as good as the coding. So the quality of the coding is paramount. If the quality of the coding is excellent, then the information in the table will also be excellent. So we can edit this. Easy to edit. One way we can work with it as well is in Excel. We'll find that the framework matrices are saved under notes. So it appears here under notes. That's on the left-hand side menu. Okay, so all there, interview transcript matrix. So if we want to go back and work on it another time, or we want to keep that to refer to later in the project, it will be here. It's automatically saved here. I didn't need to do anything for that to happen. I quite like to export the framework matrix. If I just right click on the matrix, this window appears and I can then click on export framework matrix, and it just turns it into a Excel spreadsheet. Personally, I find that quite easy to navigate, and so I often prefer to move it into Excel. But it's good to see in both directions. Okay, so I simply save the framework matrix to a suitable place that's safe and approved by your ethics approval. Save, and we can work then in alternative forms. Framework matrices are quite useful for making tables to display text in a report or in a chapter. You just got to be careful not to have too many columns and too many rows so that it fits nicely onto a page. So often I would work with a framework matrix later in the project once I've done an analysis, and then make a smaller framework matrix that I'll be able to dump into a chapter as a table, and it would look good. But it's also good to work with these more unwieldy tables, such as the one I've produced here. And that can be helpful for that ongoing thinking when we're using NVivo as a tool to help us dialogue with the data, make sense of it as we go along. So especially useful for comparing interviewees. Another use is within literature review, and again it's very useful within a literature review in comparing authors or different groups of data. End of video.